Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall. I'm Adam Hardiman with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force, and I'll be your moderator again this evening. Thank you for being with us for our 9th town hall that has seen thousands of you join us thus far. Before we begin, if you are on a cell phone and your call gets dropped, you can rejoin us by streaming the call at rmwb.ca/town hall. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to Jeanette Bankars, Chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, for a brief introduction. Jeanette?
Thank you, Adam. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Before we begin tonight, on behalf of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, I'd like to send thoughts and prayers to those involved and the families affected by today's vehicle collision on Highway 63 north of Fort McMurray. You are in our hearts and minds tonight, and please know we are here for you following this tragic event. The Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee and Task Force, in collaboration with Council, the municipality, and our many partners, continues to work together to help the community recover. On behalf of the team, I'd like to thank you for your continued resilience during the most challenging time in our region's history. I'd like to introduce you to tonight's participants. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, we have Councillor Sheldon Germain and Member Marty Giles. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force and the municipality, we have Dana Woodworth, Recovery Task Force Team Lead, Aaron O'Neill, Recovery Branch Lead, and Andrea Haley, Economic Development Officer. Also joining us from the Government of Alberta, Dr. Karen Grimsrud, Chief Medical Officer of Health, Canadian Red Cross, Matt Baden, Insurance Bureau of Canada, Rob Dupree, Alberta Health Services, David Mateer and Deborah Samick, and from SPECS, we have Andrew Ross. Last Thursday at YMCA Thickwood, we held our latest public engagement session following the announcement of Phase 1 Green Home re-entry to safe areas of Abasand and Beacon Hill. Thanks again to the many of you for taking the time to join us, and we look forward to continuing the conversation this week. This continued dialogue and the information you provide will help guide us on our vision of recovery and will drive our decision-making. This week, join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. for the next public meeting of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee in Council Chambers at Jubilee Centre. You can view the agenda for the meeting at rmwb.ca. If you can't make it, the meeting is streamed online at rmwb.ca and is broadcast live on Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. On Thursday, from 4 till 8 p.m., we are here for you at our next community engagement session at Shell Place and McDonald Island Park. We hope to see you there. Please check rmwb.ca/engage for the latest times and locations for community engagement sessions. Now, I'd like to update you on some of the areas that we received the most questions about on last week's town hall and at our community engagement session. On Phase 1 Green Home re-entry in Abasand and Beacon Hill. Last Thursday, we were pleased to announce the first phase of Green Home re-entry to safe areas of Abasand and Beacon Hill. While we know there is much more to be done, this step represents a recovery milestone. We thank you for your patience as we worked alongside the Chief Medical Officer of Health, Alberta Health Services, and our partners at the Government of Alberta to make this a reality. Beginning this Wednesday, if you live in a safe area of Abasand or Beacon Hill, you will be able to return home permanently without restrictions. If you haven't already, you can visit rmwb.ca/abw to see if your home is part of Phase 1 re-entry. For more information, visit rmwb.ca/abw or stop by one of our re-entry information centers from Wednesday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. at Frank Lacroix Arena if you live in Beacon Hill and in front of Ecole Boreal if you live in Abasand. You can also stop by the Future Forward building on Franklin Avenue between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. Phase 2 re-entry to Abasand and Beacon Hill will begin as soon as demolition and debris removal is complete. On waterways, we understand that the Waterways Neighborhood decision is a complex one, and we are reviewing all of the factors that will shape a proposed plan for this area. You will be the biggest part of the decision-making process, and there will be opportunities for you to provide that input at one of our future engagement sessions. We continue to work with Mayor and Council and our partners at the Government of Alberta to propose an approach that would allow us to take the next step for you in waterways, and we are committed to doing our due diligence to ensure the best decision is made for you and our community. On interim housing support. On Wednesday, at our public meeting, an update on interim housing support will be provided. A joint Government of Alberta, Red Cross, and Municipal Housing Needs Assessment survey was completed to determine what interim housing needs you require. Calls were made directly to a sample of you whose homes were destroyed or damaged beyond habitation, with over 1,100 surveys being completed. The results will be used to inform Wednesday's update and the plan to help you as we recover. On demolition and debris removal. Significant progress has been made on demolition and debris cleanup. As of yesterday, 1,376 demolition permit applications had been received, and 1,303 permits have been issued. 226 post-demolition inspections have been completed, and 36 rebuild development permits have been approved, so the rebuilding of the community is already underway. If you haven't already, we encourage you to apply for your demolition permit as soon as possible so the community can meet the September 30th deadline for removal and disposal of all debris, ash, soil, and other hazards. On residential taxation relief. The Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee's recommendation for residential taxation relief will be presented on Tuesday at Council. You can view the recommendation on the Council agenda at rmwb.ca and can follow the meeting live online or on Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeanette. And remember, to ask a question, press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to one of our great operators. If you're joining us online, please type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. Before we move on, I'd like to turn things over to Rob Dupree from IBC, who has a brief update for us. Rob, go right ahead.
Thank you, Adam. IBC continues to be available both in Fort McMurray and by phone and email to provide support, guidance, and assistance when you have questions about insurance. We have consumer information officers that can help answer your general insurance questions. They can be reached at 1-844-227-5422 or via email at fortmacfire, that's FORTMACFIRE, @ibc.ca. For face-to-face discussions, we are available at the public information sessions on Thursday afternoons between 4 and 8 p.m. We also have Dave Johnson from IBC is available at the Back to Business Resource Center in Fort McMurray, located at 9816 Hardin Street. Dave is there every weekday afternoons between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. to answer your questions. This week, we will also be at the info centers in Beacon Hill and Abasand to address your concerns between August 31st and September 2nd, between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Details on the public information session and the info center locations can be found at rmwb.ca. We have recently updated our website at ibc.ca with additional FAQs based on your commonly asked questions we have heard on these town halls and at various events around Fort McMurray. These FAQs include answers to your insurance questions on duplexes, what to do if you disagree with your adjuster, and information on additional living expenses. Check out ibc.ca and click on the Fort McMurray Wildfire link.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. And as always, as we begin our calls tonight, we'll do our best to answer your questions. Let's get started right away. Remember to press *3 to ask a question, and an operator will take your question. Or you can type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. So let's get started right away. We're going to go first to our online portion, a bunch of questions coming in. This question is from Jack. He is asking, as a contractor, will anything change for my access into Abasand or Beacon Hill after re-entry on Wednesday? So I'm going to go to Erin O'Neill, our recovery branch lead, to take that one for us. Erin, if you go right ahead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Jack, for the question. On Wednesday or before Wednesday, contractors will be required to do an online site orientation to access the areas of Abasand and Beacon Hill, as additional mitigation measures are in place in those areas to allow for re-entry. Security guards will be handing out the link for that website tomorrow, so you can go online and do that orientation. It's an orientation and a short quiz at the end, and then you will be issued a certificate and be given a new placard at the entrance. You will not be allowed into Abasand and Beacon Hill until you have completed that orientation. However, we will be on site with tablets on Wednesday and Thursday during re-entry, so you can complete that orientation at that time as well.
Well, thank you so much, Erin, for that. And just as a reminder to anyone listening, I know Erin was very clear, but we're speaking about contractors coming back to Abasand and Beacon Hill. We know many of them are working in the area, but this is a bit of a new process for them. So not for our residents, but for contractors working in the area. So just be clear on that. And there'll be more information coming out tomorrow about that. We're going to stay online. This question's from Carl, and he's asking, what mental health supports are available for me and my family? So I'm actually going to go to Deborah Samick, who's with us, I believe, from Alberta Health Services. Deborah, if you could take that, thanks.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks for the question, Carl. We have a range of addiction and mental health services available. We've been in Fort McMurray supporting the population with addiction and mental health needs since early in May, and will continue to be there with enhanced services. We've been working in partnership with Alberta Health and Human Services, Education, and our community partners to develop and provide psychosocial or supports for mental health and mental wellness. Those services continue to change as people move from a response to a recovery and as the needs of the community change. So while some people think that perhaps our services are decreasing, I can assure you they're not. They're just changing to meet the changing needs. We have received significant support from addiction and mental health staff from across the province, and we've appreciated that support from our colleagues. We are now shifting to enhancing our own Fort McMurray services and hiring some additional staff to help with that recovery. Our volumes and requests for services have increased, but we want to encourage people in need to reach out. If people need support, we will be there to provide it. Obviously, needs differ, and we will continue to see people on urgency. We offer a walk-in service with no appointment required from Monday to Friday at the Queen Street building located at 10217 Queen Street. And so that walk-in counseling service is available from 9 in the morning till 9:15 at night. We also offer our addiction services at the same location Monday to Friday from 8 in the morning till 4:15 in the afternoon. Our mental health services are located on the 3rd floor of the hospital. They are available as well from Monday to Friday from 8 to 4:15. We do have contracts with funded agencies, one of those being Past Due Place Detox Center. They're available to provide detox services 24/7. And we have a contract as well with Some Other Solutions, also known as SOS, who provide a crisis line 24/7 to people needing emotional support. You can also call the HealthLink 811 to get information about the current services being provided. We're also partnering with the regional municipality to make sure that all of this information is up to date and available on their recovery, on their webpage with recovery resources. And we will have this information available at the welcome reception centers in Beacon Hill and Abassan this week.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you, Carl, for the question. I'm actually going to also go to Councillor Sheldon Germain, who wanted to weigh in. Sheldon, go right ahead.
First of all, thank you, Alberta Health, for all of that. But what has been the most uplifting is I heard the reports of how many of us in Fort McMurray have accessed this support, and I think that is a YMM strong. It is the right thing to do to go get support and help all of us recover as people, and it's a great step. Also, the school board staffs have been trained. Municipality staffs have all received training from Alberta Health, and I appreciate that. And the one thing I do want to remind people is push away from your electronics, push away from your social media once in a while, and go for a walk. There's nothing better for mental health than a nice walk. So let's stay positive, and we'll all recover together.
Well, thank you so much, Councillor Germain. We're actually going to go to the phone for our next question, our first one. I'm going to go to Margie. Margie, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. I'm part of the Phase 1 reentry in Abassan for Wednesday, and I was just curious, will mail service and bus service be available?
Well, we won't weigh in on the Canada Post labor dispute just yet, will we? But we'll send that one to Erin O'Neill with Recovery Task Force. Take that one for us. Erin.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks, Margie, for your question. Transit service will be available, and details will be included in your re-entry booklet that will be posted at each home for re-entry. We will work with Canada Post on providing their service, and we have also been in contact with industry to provide the diversified and other industry bus to sites.
Well, thank you so much, Erin, and thank you, Margie, for the question. We're going to go back to our online questions. This one is from Jennifer. She says, I own a small business, and I heard from a friend that there is a new coaching program. What is it? So I'm going to go to Andrea Haley, who's with us from our Economic Development Department.
Thank you very much for the question, Adam. So the Back to Business coaching program is delivered through our Back to Business Resource Center. It is a program for businesses to receive up to 12 free hours from a certified management consultant to help them work through their challenges, their business challenges, and develop an action plan. So they receive up to 12 free hours from a certified management consultant. And we strongly encourage businesses to take advantage of this free program. For more information, you can find information online at www.choosewoodbuffalo.ca, or you can visit the Back to Business Resource Center at the Hardin Street building in Fort McMurray. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for that, Andrew. Also going to go to Marty Giles with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee.
Also, just an add-on to that as well, when you are at that center, make sure you ask about the Red Cross funding available. There's two more, envelopes, so to speak, that small businesses can apply for. So make sure you ask about the coaching session, but there's going to be two other funding levels for small businesses that qualify, and they'll look at a case-by-case business, and you may be eligible for some more funding there as well.
Well, thank you so much, Marty, and thank you, Jennifer, for the question. Certainly, business recovery, a major priority for us and for the community, so thank you so much for that. Just a reminder to press *3 if you're just joining us to ask a question. One of our excellent operators will take your question, or you can type that question into the question field online at rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go to the phones once again. And this is a question from Aaron. Aaron, are you there?
Yes. Sorry, just
Hi,
switching
Aaron,
off speaker.
how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Go right ahead.
Okay, so my question is regarding the backfill requirement. If we are unable to get a foundation in before the timeline, I was looking for alternatives on the website that were, deemed safe and acceptable to the municipality, and I couldn't really find a clear answer. So I was wondering if someone could clarify that for me.
Thank you so much. That's an excellent question. We'll go to Erin O'Neill with Recovery Task Force, please.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks, Aaron, for your question. You do have a couple options. So the demo order that we did put on all properties requires that the property be backfilled by October 31st, 2016, or you can leave your foundation in place, fence the property, and cover that foundation with a material that keeps it covered so it's safe. Then you can remove that foundation before June 2017 and replace your foundation. Also on the website, it is a bit tricky to find, but under rmwb.ca/demolition, on the right-hand side, there is a document that does talk about foundations. And we do have your phone number, so I can call you tomorrow and work you through that process if you can't find it. And then there's also some options on sloping and fencing the area as well. So if you propose any of those, the safety codes officers can review any of the alternative backfilling measures that you'd like to use.
Thank you so much, Aaron and Aaron. So we're going to go back to our online portion. This question is from Jean. It's probably a good question for the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, maybe Councillor Germain, if you're with us here. The question is, I was taking a look at the council agenda, and one of the items is a bylaw 16011 that's being up for consideration for being repealed tomorrow night. What is that bylaw about? And what kind of effect would that have in Avocen or Beacon Hill? So I know Councillor Germain, obviously you're a councillor on the committee, if you could take that for us.
Thank you very much, Adam. Looking at that bylaw is the restriction for Chief Medical Officer of Health requirement for a development permit. So if we repeal that bylaw and that passes council, that would mean that people that have no land use issues in terms like a single family home can start getting a permit issued. Now, you already can go to planning and get your development permit, but it would just be on the condition right now. Where if that is repealed, then people can start building. Now, I want to just put a caveat there. There are some communities or areas, Abasans, and waterways that still have some land use issues that we're going to have to work through. And more will be done on that as the committee works through. But this is a first step to allow some development in areas with no land use issues.
Well, thank you so much, Councillor Germain. We'll also go to Marty Giles on the committee.
And just to add on to that, this came up last week during the town hall session. Continue to plan to build, continue to submit your development permit. It takes up time anyway to sit with your builder, whoever it's going to be, and council's meeting, you'll want to tune in tomorrow night to see it debated, but no matter what the outcome is, make sure you continue to keep moving, keep getting your plans together, and then one day when it is lifted, you're ready to go. I know some people think they have to wait, but Aaron's team and Jamie's team are more than happy to work through all the issues with you on a case-by-case basis that Sheldon talked about. So please don't stop, keep moving, and keep trucking.
Well, thank you so much for that, and thank you, Jean, for the question. And this next question, we're going to stay online, kind of fits into that. This question is from Steve. Steve, glad that you could join us tonight. His question is, some of us lost our homes and been told to move ASAP to obtain development permits after demolition. The next step is a building permit. Are the timelines being relaxed? So I'll send that to Aaron O'Neill, our recovery branch. Maybe just speak generally about the process, and if there is a timeline relaxation, maybe just clarify that for Steve.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Steve, for the question. So upon receiving your post-demolition inspection, you can apply for your development permit. You have to first apply for your development permit. When it has been approved, you can then apply for your building permit. Those typically have 1 year until you can start. As long as you're providing reasonable dispatch and building those, your permit will not expire, so you can continue. If you are thinking of delaying, you can certainly go in, talk to planning and development, have all the information, but if you're not looking to build for some time, you may want to delay on applying for your permit before that 1 year timeline does come up.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron, and thank you, Steve, for the question. I have a bunch of new callers who have jumped on in the last little bit, so to remind them, remember to press *3. on your phone's keypad to ask a question, and one of our great operators will take that question, or you can type your question into the question field online, rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go back to the phones. Question is from David. David, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How you doing?
Good. Hello to everyone.
Hi.
I just wanted to know a little bit about insurance. If somebody had a claim open and the claim was closed and he realized later that there is some damage, or can the claim be reopened? Is there a standard for that?
Well, thank you so much, David. We'll go to Rob Dupree with the Insurance Bureau of Canada to take that for us. Rob?
Hi, David, and thank you for the call. Just because your claim was closed doesn't mean that it's going to be closed forever. So if you did discover some new damage, I encourage you to reach out to your insurance representative right away, let them know the damage that you did discover, and ask them to reopen your claim so that they can investigate and proceed with your insurance claim. If you do run into any questions, and if they're not able to assist right away, you can certainly reach out to us. You can call one of our consumer information officers at 1-8442-ASK-IBC. Thank you, David.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, David, as well, for the question. Very good one. We're going to go back to our online portion. A lot of online questions coming in this evening. This one from Erin. I'm thinking it's a different Erin than we had before, but her question is, what safety measures are in place for debris removal, debris transportation, and landfill treatment? So especially important with Phase 1 Green Home Reentry taking place on Wednesday in Avisan and Beacon Hill. So I'll send that one to Erin O'Neill, Recovery Branch Lead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Aaron, for your question. As part of your development permit conditions, the ash and debris needs to be wet down, and before the contractor starts picking it up and putting it into trucks, it also needs to be wet while it is being put into trucks. Those loads also need to be tarped to be taken to the landfill. Demolition haul routes, designated demolition haul routes have been established in all our damaged areas. Those are being enforced at 30 kilometers an hour for the contractors. There's also commercial vehicle enforcement in the city of Fort McMurray looking after those regulations and making sure that all the demo conditions are being followed.
Well, thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Aaron, once again for the question. We're going to go back to our online portion. This question is from Suzanne, and probably another one for you, Aaron, with Jamie not with us. She's asking, how do I find out the dimensions of my lot? Who does she call? Who does she contact? So, Aaron, if you could take that for us.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Susan, for your question. You can have access to your property file through the Planning and Development Office. It should provide you, typically there is a real property report on your property file. If you're not able to get a real property report, Planning and Development can help you out with the dimensions of your lot. So you can visit Planning and Development 309 Powder Drive, and they can check your property file to confirm the dimensions of your property.
Thank you so much, Aaron, and thank you, Suzanne, for the question. We are going to go back to our online, just because we do have a lot of online questions coming in. I'm going to keep going with that. This question is from Mo, and he's asking, whose responsibility is it to clean up the debris due to fire breaks in Stone Creek? So we'll also go back to Aaron O'Neill and the Recovery Branch, and we'll also go to Rob Dupree after that with IBC. Thanks.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Mo, for the question. I am going to get your contact information, and we will touch base with you. We are touching base with all of our residents who had fire break homes as part of the wildfire recovery. You can go ahead and clean up your property following the issuance of a demolition permit and through your insurance, but we will be in touch about details as well.
Rob Dupree from IBC. Thank you very much for the question. Under most insurance policies, you do have coverage for debris removal. So if there is some debris, whether it's from a fire damaged property or from a fire break house, if there's debris on your property, talk to your insurance adjuster, talk about what your policy will be able to cover. Work with them so that you can be clearing up the debris that's required so that you can be moving forward with your insurance claim. Thank you for the call.
Well, thanks so much, Rob, and thanks, Aaron, as well. And thank you, Mo, for the great question. We're going to go to the phones, and we're going to go to Daryl. Daryl, are you with us?
Yes, indeed. Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
Good. So my question is this. I saw a terrible violation of safety today in Beacon Hill. There was a video posted of a contractor operating a sweeper. They didn't wet down anything, and there was this ginormous cloud of dust. And I thought if Dr. Grimsford sees this, he's going to roll over on her desk. Why aren't the compliance officers monitoring this?
Going to head over to thanks, Daryl, for the question. We'll go to Dana Woodworth, our team lead.
Hi, Daryl. It's Dana. So thanks. Thanks for the insight, and I would like to talk to you after as well. And maybe we can connect and get a bit more detail on this potential infraction. We take it seriously. And I'd like a bit more detail, and I'll connect with you. We do take the mitigation plans and the strategy as gospel. They're not optional. So the compliance is not something that we're going to dismiss lightly. So thank you for the observation.
Well, thank you so much, Daryl, for the question, and Dana as well. We're actually also going to go to Aaron O'Neill, our recovery branch lead, to add to that, I guess.
Thanks, Adam, and thank you, Daryl, for the question. I just wanted to let you know, as part of the contractor orientation that the contractors will be required to do in Abasand and Beacon Hill, they will be provided with a list of places that they can call for complaints on contractors or residents. There will be that contact information provided as well, and they will be reminded of all the mitigation measures that are required to be in place in Beacon Hill and Abasand.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you, Mo, for the question. A bunch of new callers coming in once again. So remember, to all of our callers out there, to press *3 if you'd like to ask a question, and one of our superb operators will take that question, or you can type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to stay online for our next question. This question is from Rina, and the question is the Red Cross providing additional business funding? I know we heard from Andrea earlier in some of the initiatives of our Economic Development Department, and the other things we have on the go, but we'll send that one to Matt Baden with the Red Cross, please. Hi, Matt. Are you still with us out there?
Apologies. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for your question. The Red Cross has allocated $30 million in which to help small businesses recover. This grant is actually, a part of this grant, $4.5 million approximately, is being administered to the Economic Development Association of Alberta and can be accessed through a call center line. An additional $25.5 million will be allocated to support small business in recovery for the long term. These funds will enable eligible small business owners, sole proprietors, and trades to receive financial support of up to $20,000 in a phased approach to assist with their recovery. Additional information will be available in the coming weeks on our website at redcross.ca/AlbertaFiresBusiness. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Rita, for the question, and thank you, Matt, for taking with that and for the great partnership with the Red Cross throughout this process. We're going to go back to the phone line. Going to go to Sandra. Sandra, are you there?
Yes, I am. I got a question for an insurance company, please. I lost my furnace in the flood on Beacon Hill, and I'm just wondering, would your furnace be considered part of your contents in your home?
Well, thank you, Sandra, so much for the question. We're going to go to Rob Dupree with IBC, if you could take that one.
Hi, Sandra, and thank you for your call. I'm very sorry that you've had damage to your property. If your question, if I heard it right, is asking if the furnace is part of the contents, typically the furnace would be built in and would be attached to and part of the actual building or the structure. So a furnace would typically be a portion of your insurance policy. If it was a smaller plug-in type electric heater, that might be something that would fall under the contents coverage. Thanks for calling, Sandra.
Well, thank you so much, Sandra, for the question. Thank you, Rob, for the answer. We're going to go back to our online portion. Just a ton of online questions tonight compared to our phone questions. We're going to stick with it. This question is from Nicole. I think it's a very good question. She's asking, if houses are not cleaned up by September 30th, our demolition debris removal deadline, how soon will the RMWB, given that there's a demolition order in place, paraphrasing your question, Nicole, in case you're listening, just to give our listeners context, how soon will we clean up the property? Will the RMWB use specs? And I know there was a recent RFP that was posted, so I'll let Erin O'Neill, our recovery branch lead, take that for us.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you for the question. We have posted a request for a proposal, also referred to as an RFP, to hire a contractor or potentially multiple contractors to do the debris cleanup as of October 1st. So the demolition order does state that all debris that's not cleaned up that all debris has to be cleaned up as September 30th. The municipality will look on October 1st to determine how many properties that is. We will then have to apply for demolition permits and start that process right away. However, we will be hiring a contractor before October 31st so they can hit the ground as soon as that September 30th deadline does pass.
Well, thank you so much, Erin. Thank you, Nicole, for the question. So a very open and transparent process, and our RFP is available. And the municipality, if we get to the stage where we have to step in, we'll certainly do so to help the community recover and rebuild. Yeah, also going to go to Rob Dupree with IBC. He'd like to weigh in on that to provide some context. Rob, go right ahead.
And I wanted to go back to the previous question from Sandra, where I think I may have misheard her question. Sandra, if you're still listening, if you were inquiring about flood, if flood would be covered under insurance, it would depend on what you would mean by flood. If you had some type of water in your basement that came from a sewer backup, you can get, and if you do have a sewer backup endorsement under your policy, then it would cover the damages that are to your building and also to your contents. If you're talking about overland flood, meaning water came in because a river overflowed and it came in through a window, that's something that may not be covered under your usual insurance policy. So I hope that answers your question, and if you do have additional questions, if you could please reach out to us, to one of our consumer information officers. You can reach out to them by email at fortmacfire@ibc.ca.
Well, thank you so much, Sandra, again for the question. Thank you, Rob, for the clarification and the effort there to make sure that Sandra and her residents get the appropriate information. So thank you very much. We're going to go back to the phone lines now. We're going to go to Fred. Fred, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Not too bad. I have a question for the Insurance Bureau of Canada. We've contacted 3 or 4 major companies here to do cleaning of the houses, and we can't seem to get an answer from them, get anybody out to do an estimate on what it would cost. Do we have the right to bill our insurance company for the time and the supplies needed to do the work ourselves?
Well, thank you so much, Fred, for the question. I'm going to go to Rob Dupree with IBC, please.
Hi, Fred, and thank you for the call. Before you go ahead and just start doing the necessary repair work and just giving a bill to your insurance company, I encourage you to talk with your adjuster and try to determine what exactly is the scope of work that's necessary. So if you can agree on what the scope of work that's necessary, have a conversation with them, and if you want to do the work yourself, if you have the experience and the knowledge and the skills to be able to complete the repairs properly, you can absolutely talk with them and see what you're able to work out. As well, many insurance companies do deal with a number of contractors. They may be able to provide a quote for the necessary repairs as well. And just want to remind everyone that you do have the right to use the service provider of your choice. So if your insurance company does suggest one particular contractor, you have the right to use whichever service provider you would like to use for the necessary repairs. Thank you for the call, Fred.
Oh, thank you, Fred. Thank you, Rob, for the comprehensive answer. Going to go back online. This one is from Shannon. She's asking, What will be in place on September 6th, so it's the day after Labor Day, when our kids go back to school? Will there be mental health support at the schools? Now, I know we have no one on the line specifically from the school board, but I'll ask Councillor Sheldon Germain to put on his Holy Trinity High School hat and his Catholic School Board hat and take that one for us. Councillor Germain.
Thank you for the question. The schools have done a really good job of training their staff. They've had support of extra counseling services will be available throughout the school year. And we have to trust and believe that the kids in Fort McMurray are resilient and they're strong and the teachers are caring and will be there to support. I know at our school we're looking forward to seeing students back, and I know the other schools throughout the community are excited to be back and have students in them. So we as parents sometimes worry more than we need to, but I got to tell you, we got some of the best teachers in the world right here in Fort McMurray, so they'll be looked after.
Well, thank you so much, Councillor Germain. Obviously, we have Alberta Health Services on the line. They play such a key role in the community on this front. So go to Deborah Samick if you're there, if you could take that one for us, Deborah. Deborah, are you still there? Well, it looks like we may have had a technical difficulty there, but certainly I know David Mateer is here with us as well. He can speak to some of the supports that AHS has in terms of mental health.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. Thanks very much. And of course, we are acutely aware of the stresses that young people are facing when they go back to school. We are currently working with education around the return of students to school. We know it can be an extremely stressful time, particularly under these circumstances. We have a plan which is being worked through with a number of different key elements to be properly rolled out before school starts and in support of parents, teachers and students. And what you'll see is more details about that plan online in the next few days. So please check ahs.ca, so Alberta Health Services.ca for more information, and we can update you next week also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you, Sheldon, before that, and thank you, Shannon, for the question. We've got about 15 minutes left in our call, just reminding everyone out there, if you'd like to ask a question, you can press *3. And one of our awesome operators will take your question, or you can type your question online in the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go back online. This question is from Chris. He's asking, he's had his lot cleaned in Beacon Hill. He does not expect to rebuild before the winter. He's asking, can I park my cargo/utility trailer on my lot during the winter? So I'm going to send that one to Aaron O'Neill, Recovery Branch Lead.
Thanks, Adam, and thank you for the question. Yes, Chris, you are able to store your items on your property during the winter. So if you'd like to store, once your demo is cleaned up, you can store your trailer or your RV on your property.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. Great question, and Aaron for the prompt response. This one, we're going to stay online as well. Question from Tim. He's asking, when they cleared burned trees in Avocen, he's saying they improperly graded the area and the rainwater will not drain. It's causing major problems and needs to be rectified. Can someone assist? Maybe I'll send that one to you, Aaron, just to speak to maybe what our plan might be, or we can take a visit to the area. So just a concern here from a resident.
Thanks, Adam, and thank you, Tim, for the question. Our operations section of the Recovery Branch is working on a full mitigation program for the water that is pooling in the fire areas that were cleaned. So we are working on getting that water out and what that drainage plan looks like. So the operations team is aware of it and they are monitoring it, and we are putting a plan in place to make sure that that drainage is occurring.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron, for that answer. Thank you, Tim, for the question. Certainly something we'll take a look at and keep our eye on as we progress through recovery. Going to go back to the phones. I don't know if they're still with us. I'm taking a look at our screen here. Is Steven still with us, Jordan? Okay, he's actually not there, so my mistake on that one. We're going to go back to the online portion. Another question here from Lindsay, and she's asking, is there a way to find out if all the debris has been cleaned up in my neighborhood? So is there a way to check that out? So I'm going to go to maybe Aaron, but I could also take that one on behalf, I guess, of the communication side. Aaron, if you want to take a first stab at it.
Thank you, Adam. We have been looking at all the debris that has been cleaned up in the areas to confirm who has yet to apply for demolition permits, so we can reach out to those individuals to determine if there's any hindrance to applying for the demolition, so we can speed that along prior to September 30th. And as we noted earlier, a total of 1,303 demolition applications have been approved, and 226 of those have been completed.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, for the question. Thank you, Aaron. We've got some time left in our call here, so just a reminder to anyone out there, if they'd like to ask a question, press *3. To ask that question, operator will take your question, take your call, or you can type that question into the question field, rmwb.ca/townhall. Going to go back to our online portion once again. I get a lot of good online questions coming in tonight. This one's from Leslie. She's asking, after re-entry, so I think, not to take the words away from you, Leslie, but I think you mean to perhaps Avocen or Beacon Hill, will there be security for the green homes? So Aaron, maybe you can give a rundown of what our plan is for keeping those areas safe and secure. Certainly it's going to be an emotional day and a busy day in Avocen and Beacon Hill as we move through in the next couple weeks.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Lindsay, for the question. So re-entry to the Phase 1 areas of Avocen and Beacon Hill is set to occur on Wednesday, August 31st. Information centers will be set up in both Avocen and Beacon Hill from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd. So we do invite all our residents of those areas to stop at those information centers, representatives from the utility companies, Insurance Bureau of Canada, Alberta Health Services for mental health support, and a number of municipal departments will be there to assist you with your needs. So we do encourage that. There's also regular roaming security throughout the areas. So while the security checkpoints will be moving into those areas so that there is free flow access into the green homes, there is regular patrolling security of all those areas to make sure all your homes are safe.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you, Leslie, for that excellent question. Certainly something on some people's minds as we begin Phase 1 of the green home reentries to Avocen and Beacon Hill. So we're going to go back to the phone lines. Curtis, are you there?
Yes.
How you doing?
Hello. Good.
Go right ahead with your question.
About I was re-entry into like the Phase 2. Like our home is still good in Beacon Hill. When can we get back in there and stay there? It's on Beaver Ridge Close, actually.
Well, thank you so much, Curtis, for the question, and certainly we're going to be with you every step of the way. We know we have Phase 1 coming up beginning on Wednesday, but maybe we'll have Aaron speak to what the process will be for Phase 2 and what we can expect to see in the weeks and months ahead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Curtis, for the question. We are looking at Phase 2. Phase 2 does require that the debris be cleaned up in those areas before you can access those Phase 2 areas. So we are working to help that demolition process along, so we can contact all the residents who have yet to apply for their demolition permits to find out if there's any hindrances to applying for those permits so that we can move that along. That is also the reason that the municipality did issue the demolition order, so that as of September 30th, the municipality can go in and clean up those areas so there's not an extensive delay waiting for you to get back into your home.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron, and thank you for the question as well. Going to go back to the phone lines. Anuj, are you there? Anuj, are you with us on the phone?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Good, sir. Not bad. So my question was for specs. Sir, how we can retrieve a demolition permit number? from the specs website or from the city, so that in case in later stages, if we need that, we can have it handy, or if we have some problems where we can, so that we can reference that number to the particular site. So I couldn't figure it out what's my demolition permit number.
Well, thanks so much for the question. Great question. We'll go to Andrew Ross, who's with us from Specs, and then we'll go to Aaron O'Neill after that for a follow-up from our end. Andrew, if you could take a crack at it, please.
Hi, thank you very much for your question, Anuj. Absolutely, you can get that from us. If I could just ask you to please contact us at Fort McMurray at specs.ca, and that's Fort McMurray at specs, SPECS.ca. Include your street address, contact name, and phone number. We want to ensure that we only give out people's information to the actual landowner. So that's how you can get that from us.
Anuj, you can also visit our Planning and Development Office at 309 Powder Drive in Timberlea. As the homeowner, you can find out what permits have been issued for your property, and they will be able to provide you with that demolition permit number as well.
Well, thank you once again for the question. Thank you, Andrew and Aaron, for the response. We're going to go back to the phone lines. We're going to go to Marcia. Marcia, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead with your question, please.
My question is, I know that we're not allowed to, I lost my house in Beacon Hill, and I know there's, because the destruction that has happened, and a lot of the debris has to be cleaned up before rebuilding can happen. But I noticed in Wood Buffalo that there's a new house being built in the middle of all this debris. Like on both sides of that house, none of this debris has been cleaned up. So I'm wondering what's the criteria here if no houses can be rebuilt, or you can't even go into areas until debris is cleaned up. Why are we allowing like houses to be built in areas where very little of the cleanup has taken place?
Well, Marcia, thank you so much for the question. It's an excellent question, and sorry for your loss on behalf of everyone here and in the community. And we know it's a tough time, so thank you for calling in tonight. We're going to go first to Councillor Sheldon Germain with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee.
Marcia, thank you very much for your question, and that's been a major disconnect for many. The major reason is on the onset, we're worried about toxic substances, and the Chief Medical Officer of Health put a restriction on. Now that we've progressed more, we believe that we could repeal that bylaw and allow construction to start occurring in some of those areas. Please do all the process to get your permit, get everything lined up. As soon as we have the okay or that bylaw repealed, then you can start building in Beacon Hill as well.
Thanks so much for that, Councillor Germain. We'll also go to Marty Giles with Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee.
Marcia, I think you said that just so I'm clear, you're in Wood Buffalo, though. You're actually in Beacon Hill, but the house you're seeing built is in Wood Buffalo, correct?
Yes.
Sure. So I think that's where Councillor Germain, just to make sure that the issues in Beacon Hill were not the same as Wood Buffalo. The toxicology and so on was not the same in Wood Buffalo. Again, we're going to be seeing some people repopulate into Beacon Hill and Avocen right now, and if the bylaw gets repealed tomorrow night, you might see the same thing very shortly, hopefully happening in Beacon Hill and in Avocen, if we can get that going. So it's not one area over the other, just Wood Buffalo didn't have near the issues that your residents in Beacon Hills to make sure that you and your family are safe. So, and Dana's working very hard on that.
Well, thank you so much, Marcia. Once again, sorry to hear about what's happened, and we're staying with you every step of the way as we continue on. Thank you, Sheldon and Marty, for taking that answer for us. We have about 5 minutes left in our call, so I think we got a chance for maybe one, maybe two more questions, but one for sure. We're going to go back to the phones. Debbie, are you there? Debbie, are you with us? Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great tonight. I live up in Stone Creek. Bulldozers went right down my back, right behind my property of our whole street, actually, and went right to my foundation. My insurance company keeps telling me that the municipality would be responsible for bringing back in at least a foot of dirt, regrading, and the survey. They would be responsible for the fencing and the deck only. What is the situation with that? Is the municipality on the line for that, or who pays for that?
Thank you so much, Debbie, for the question. Good question. First, we're going to go to Rob Dupree with IBC, and then we're going to go to Aaron O'Neill with Recovery to take that. So, Rob, if you could go first.
Hi, Debbie, and thank you for your call. I'm sorry that you have damage to your property. Under a more common homeowners type policy, the insurance policy itself typically covers the building, the outbuilding, and the contents. The insurance policy typically does not insure the land. So it sounds like you may have some dirt that was removed from your actual land. That's something that's typically outside the scope of an insurance policy. So unfortunately, that's probably the reason why you're getting the information from the adjuster that it may not be covered under the insurance.
Hi, Debbie. We have a team that's working on the fire break issues, and I have taken your phone number down, and I will have one of those team members call you back to touch base with you. We do want to make sure that we have the contact information of all the individuals who had any fire break damage, fencing, houses, vehicles, all those types of things. So we will be in touch with you and follow up on that question.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking that one for us, and thank you, Debbie, for the question. That'll be our last question tonight on our 9th telephone town hall. We're going to wrap things up in just a minute, but before we do that, I'm going to ask our chair of the Buffalo Recovery Committee, Jeanette Bancars, to make some closing remarks. Jeanette?
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to the thousands of you who joined us this evening. As we continue to recover together as a community, I hope some of you are able to attend our public meeting on Wednesday and our engagement session coming up on Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. at Shell Place at McDonald Island. For more information, please visit rmwb.ca/engage.
Thank you, Jeanette. A full audio replay of this telephone town hall will be available soon at rmwb.ca/townhall. We do recognize that not everyone's question was answered here tonight. We thank you for your understanding as we do our best to answer similar questions that have been submitted throughout most of the call. We invite you to visit rmwb.ca, call or email Pulse at 780-743-7000 or on email pulse@rmwb.ca or interact with us on Facebook or Twitter to connect with the municipality. The next telephone town hall is Monday, September 12th at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Have a good evening as we remain here for you, safe, resilient, and together. Thank you.